So I'm gonna kick this thing off with kind of a weird personal story. I have this strange link in my head between fish and ghosts. When I was 4, my granddad died. I had zero clue what was going on. So I asked my 12-year-old brother what happened when someone died. And he told me that people turn into fish. And that stayed with me for a really long time. And we had a fish tank. I was living with ghosts. I'm really pumped that you guys are here. I hope that you will check back every week to kind of do this whole homeschool journey with us. So be sure to like and subscribe, hit the bell, and also be sure to check us out on Instagram at Foursquare Schoolhouse. Let's do it. We just hit up a local pet store for nature study. This store is called Wet Pets. So I feel like it probably had more fish and, like wet pets, I guess, than your average pet store. It also had an absolutely terrifying bird, as if fish aren't scary enough. There was like a horror movie level scream coming out of this bird the entire time we were there. But there were lots of cool fish there to check out, lots of tanks inside, and there was even a pond outside with some bigger fish. So Lucy saw Nemo and Dory and was quite pumped about that. So naturally, we went home and watched Finding Dory. And I also made up this little fish study journal page printable that you can find down in the description. And we filled that out when we got home. I'll link it down there as one of this week's 2 freebies. So, stay tuned for the next one. The parent guide recommended watching Octonauts to go along with this. So we did watch a little bit of that on YouTube. It is not my favorite show, but she did learn a little something about barracudas that she's been talking about since then. So that's cool. And that matters more, I guess, than my bummer grown-up opinion of the show. I almost brought a fish home. Like, I was this close to purchasing this red betta fish that Lucy really seemed to be into. Red is like completely her jam right now, and a fish would be, like a super easy starter pet. I could do a fish. I can take care of a red freaking betta fish. But ghost, guys, right? Like, do I want to bring a ghost fish into our home? And how do I even know what kind of ghost that is? Like, is it a Patrick Swayze ghost, or is it the other guy? It's just not going to happen for now. We're going to have to table that one until I'm feeling a little bit braver or have a couple of drinks in me. Now, the math and science portions of our week were way fun. I usually buy the turtle crackers from Aldi instead of Goldfish, but I splurged a little, for this lesson and got the real deal. I don't recommend going into this hungry. The girls ate like a lot of fish before we could even start. So I'm glad I didn't get the smallest package, but it was nice. They got to eat their math and science materials, I guess. But we used whatever was left over to measure a few things that just so happened to be nearby, like some art supplies that were on the table, my keyboard, and then finally we also measured Lucy. And she is officially 42-ish goldfish tall. I'm proud of it. And here is where the next printable comes in. I just made up this little chart where we could record the things that we measured, also our guess for how long it would be, and then the actual length. And then we used this to sort of compare and talk about which was longest, shortest. We only did a few items. This is a big chart, and I'm just going to keep it floating around so that we can continue to measure things and add to it over time. We wrote in this chart just with letters and numbers, but this would be also a cool space to make like a more visual illustration of the measurements by maybe drawing the items that you measure so that the kids can easily recognize them, and then maybe putting in like little dots or slashes to represent the number of fish. In art this week, we checked out Ascension of Polka Dots on the trees. Then we worked on our own little sticker project. I just offered stickers that I had on hand. I didn't go out and purchase dot stickers for this, but what I happened to have laying around were a bunch of old Happy Planner stickers that were left over from the days when I actually had time to plan and things to plan for, I guess. And Lucy chose this little pot here that we had on the counter for starting seeds to decorate. So after the other week's apple activity, she has been eating way too far into her apples to get the seeds. So she had some seeds that she'd saved in a little jar from breakfast that morning. And she picked this pot to decorate so that we can plant the seeds in there just to see what happens. We also did some bathtub art, and I won't talk about this for very long because I don't really have much of anything to show for it, of course. But we did use these DIY bath crayons that we made a while back that just absolutely suck. They are the worst. So they just ended up in the trash at some point, and we switched to these Crayola bath paints. They aren't anything special either. The girls kind of had fun. They got clean, and I got to clean the bathroom a little bit while they played, which was cool. But I would really love to get them better bath time art supplies. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you have any suggestions, a product to buy, or something that we can make. Let me know. The music lesson for this week was kind of awesome, guys. So generally we listen to a ton of music together, but never have I ever even thought about discussing the concept of covers before. Like, it's just never crossed my mind. So we talked a lot about what a cover song is, and I tried to use different language, you know, different explanations each time to make sure that she was really getting it and understanding. And we listened to this acoustic cover station on Amazon Music through the week, and then we jumped back and forth between that and some of the originals. And we also did the same thing with Kids Bop, which honestly I never thought I would intentionally listen to Kids Bop. But I thought it might be a fun way to explore covers, and it really was. Like, she really liked some of the songs like Shake It Off and Uptown Funk. Now, we also focused on some songs that she is really familiar with, like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, It's a Wonderful World, the ones that we've been listening to here in recent weeks, and then also some other songs that I knew she would recognize. Like, one of my favorite bands is called Shovels and Rope, and Lucy also loves them, and they do a cover of Patience. So we listened to that, and then we listened to the Guns N' Roses version of that, and we talked about how Shovels and Rope really like that song, so they wanted to play it too, but in their own way. And then we also got into the whole concept of originals too. I feel like if you're talking about a cover, you kind of have to talk about like the original songs. But really, we just had so much fun getting into this, or at least I did. And now I think that Lucy has a really good handle on what a cover song is, and she can talk about what it is and sort of explain it in her own words, which is very cool. In kindness and connectivity this week, we gathered lots of good stuff in a Trader Joe's bag to donate, and also some to share with a friend that is expecting a baby right now. And as we did this, we talked about like helping our community, giving to others that might not have all the toys and clothes and other items that we have. And this was a great way to explore the concepts of generosity and also gratitude, which really just kind of go hand in hand, right? Like, I tried to talk often about like how fortunate we are to have toys and food and a warm home and people that love us, and practicing gratitude and generosity is just so important, and I really want to model that and help build a really strong foundation in my girls for these concepts, these practices. So this was a really great opportunity to do that. The book for this week was Swimmy, and I was not able to get it from the library on time, so we just did a read along again on YouTube. I actually this week just kind of started gaining a whole new appreciation for checking out these read alouds on YouTube. Like, I was feeling a little bit down sometimes, like, you know, like I'm dropping the ball by not getting this book and sitting here and having this time to connect with my kid, reading together. Like, we don't read 5,000 other books through the week, right? Like, it's not a big deal if I don't read this one book with her, number one. And number two, I feel like it's actually kind of beneficial. Like, as I was sitting there listening to a person read this book with a different accent, a different tone of voice, just essentially reading the book in an entirely different way than I would have done, I just got like this whole new appreciation for it, right? Like, as a homeschool mom, most of what she's exposed to, it's my ideas, my way of reading things, my interpretation of things. And I think it's really valuable to get sort of an outside voice thrown in there sometimes too. But, you know, I digress. We read the book, and then we discussed using the prompts, and then we did the fish art project and like this little circle paper punch to cut circles to layer for scales. We just ended up using an Aldi grocery ad that happened to be laying on the table in front of me and some foil. And she really liked that though, like finding all the different foods, the letters, stuff like that in the ad. And she liked that the foil was shiny because she just learned that barracudas like shiny things on the octonauts. So that was cool for her to sort of build on that understanding, to make a stronger connection to that information through this activity and through that show that I didn't like. Now, I made this fish way too big. So this is either going to be a project that we work on over a period of time or one that we just scrap if it's not holding her attention. She worked on it for a little while here and then said that it was so big that it was making her feel tired. So, you know, make a note, start small. Now, finally, in the kitchen classroom this week, we focused a lot on the texture of our food. And I didn't really offer anything out of the ordinary, but we just made a point of noticing and talking about different textures of food that we eat, like oatmeal, carrots, yogurt. And then we also happened to make some muffins that week and really got to check out lots of different textures within the ingredients, right? Like soft flour, grainy things like salt and sugar, runny eggs. And speaking of eggs, we also made lots of different kinds of eggs this week too. And we talked about how eggs change depending on how they're cooked or not cooked. And we also had some noodles and noticed how noodles start off hard and crunchy and then they soften up when you cook them. And thanks to Hazel, we also got to notice how they turn back to hard and crunchy when they are left on the floor for long enough. And we noticed this change in texture with lots of stuff. So that was a cool extension of this activity, talking about not just the texture of foods as something that just is what it is, but also the change in texture when foods are cooked, frozen, thawed, altered in some way. All right, so make sure you head down into the description to get your free printables. If you use them, either leave me a comment, that would be super cool, or even cooler would be if you could tag me on Instagram at Foursquare Schoolhouse. I really hope that you'll come back to join us again next time as we get a little dirty and check out where the wild things are. But for now, good luck with the ghosts. Later.